And I know Judge Green, the Honorable Judge Green, is here somewhere in the crowd. So again, congratulations on your re-election. And both State Central Committeemen, one from the 20th and one from the 18th, Ed Morris and Scott Bates, the gentlemen, welcome. And of course, a lot of the work that needs to be, or kudos to, are the town chair and chairwomen that have worked very hard for the Democrats here throughout southeastern Connecticut. And locally, I know I have from the city of Norwich, Mr. Goldman, Larry Goldman's here. From the town of Montville, Joe Jaskowitz. Bill Jervis from the city of Groton. And I know the acting chair from East Lyme, Beth Hogan. Beth's right here, over there in the corner. Thank you, Beth. And also some local town council. I know I saw Mike Passer from New London, Bill Karen from Montville, and I don't know if I've missed anyone else in the room, but a lot of elected officials. And of course, I'm getting to that. Don't worry, I didn't forget him. I didn't get to him. No, I didn't get to that yet. Everyone's giving me directions here. So now I want to congratulate people that were re-elected to their House seats and Senate seats. First off, from Ernie Hewitt from the city of New London, 39. Thank you, Ernie, for turning out the votes here in New London. The Dean of the delegation, Mr. Kevin Ryan. I know Kevin. Diane Urban or Ed Attila stepped in. Or Emmett Riley. I know there's a possibility of them coming. Also in the House, we have my state rep, Alyssa Wright. So Alyssa, welcome. Of course, State Senator from the State Senator, First Select Woman from the town of Sprague, Kathy Osten. Kathy, congratulations. And also Senator-elect from the town of East Lyme, still First Selectman, but Paul Formica. Paul, welcome. At this point, I'd like to call forward Barry. Barry, you want to say a few words, talk a little bit about the hospitality, and then we're going to introduce our two honored guests. Barry.
Yes. Barry.
Well, thank you for all being here. Thank you, Governor, Lieutenant Governor. We're very flattered that you come down to Muddy Waters. We hope you're comfortable here. We've been the building, the place has been in the Neistat family since 1941, 4 generations. We've had 5 different small businesses here. We've had Muddy Waters 11 years, and we do very well with it. So there is a room for small business in this place. Hope you're comfortable here, and we hope you always stop by and say hello when you're passing by. And again, thank you all for coming. It's a wonderful night.
Thank you, Barry and Sue. I want to thank you once again. Well, really, I'd like to introduce someone that really doesn't need an introduction, someone who has served this state for many, many years. I think probably half her life, so what's it been, 10 years of serving the state? So half her life, but first as a state rep, for many years as our comptroller, and this last 4 years as our Lieutenant Governor, Nancy Wyman.
Thank you. Yes, we do feel very comfortable here. And if it wasn't because we stopped here, we wouldn't have won. Right? It was great. It's always great to be here. And you know what? We had one of our victory celebrations right here 4 years ago. And that's why we won. So thank you. Muddy Waters is part of our home.
Thank you.
Bill, thank you for all the work. And all of you, thank you so very, very much. Because if it wasn't for all of you, we couldn't have done it. It was a tough race. It really was a tough race, and we know it was tough for everybody. You know, there's some people that didn't make it that should have made it. And Lisa Wright, wherever you are, you should have been here. Where are you, Lisa?
Right here.
Let's give her another round of applause. I just want to say to all of you, you know what? We remember the 4 years we had in the past, and we will remember that we are going to bring this state further into the future, because it's for our young people and our elderly and our working class and our economy that we've got to keep fighting. and we're going to fight harder than anybody else has ever fought. But I got to tell you that, you know, with all due respect, I had the privilege of partnering up 4 years ago with a young man. This is really tough on me to admit it, but yeah, my younger brother, partner, just kidding about the brother part. I never had a younger brother. There's nobody younger than me. Nobody older than me, rather, and so I take that back. But you know what? I have been so fortunate in the last 4 years, and the state has been so fortunate. So Dan and I had a conversation today, and I just want to tell you that the one thing that I don't think that came out in this election that should have come out is all the great things that he did for the state of Connecticut. It was unbelievable. You know, with the help of the legislature, with the help of all of you in this room, the support that you've given us, we can get things done. And so we're not supposed to look back. You're not supposed to talk about the previous, you know, the previous election. But I've got to tell you something. We're looking forward, and we're going to accomplish more and more and more for the state of Connecticut because of the guy that you elected for governor. So it's my privilege and my honor to introduce to you, not somebody that needs any introduction. At least not in this room, I hope. Our great friend, our great leader, our governor, Dan Moore.
To the chairman, thank you very much for what you've done and have done for me over the years. To so many people in this room, elected and just friends, and folks that I've gotten to know over the last 8 years. It really is wonderful to be with all of you. This is the first of these events where Nancy and I get to go around and thank the people who got us reelected this time, just as we did 4 years ago when we came to Muddy Waters, to thank everybody in the region for the work that they did in that election. And that was a very close election. This one was a landslide. But I do want to say a couple of things. Number one, it is great to be with all of you. You know, the wonderful thing about this room is that rooms, I guess, is that they're filled with people who really care about community, about society, about seeing this community move forward, the community of Connecticut moving forward. And that's why people in this room donate their time, their effort, and make donations financially as well to make sure that the best outcome is the outcome that we get to see more often than not. You know, I didn't back down. Nancy didn't back down in this campaign. We were clear about who we were and who we were fighting for. We care very deeply about working men and women in this state. We care that we cared so much that we had the best implementation of ACA of any state. We cared so much that we raised our minimum wage. We cared so much that we saw in the last 24 or 18 or 6 months, or even in the last few weeks before election, there were lots of reasons to be worried and concerned. But Nancy and I knew that in the context of an election, when people had to make a true decision, as opposed to who they thought was the most popular or who was the nicest person, but actually take a measure of what was being said and what had been accomplished. We felt that you all would bring this home for us, that the calls that Jazz made, or many of you made to make sure our voters turned out, was exactly what we needed to do. I spoke to people in this room 6 months, 12 months ago. I said, you know, if we get our vote out, we're going to be okay. And we set up a campaign, and we asked people to make sacrifices, and you all in this room listened and made those sacrifices, came forward time and time again to make sure that we got our vote out. And if you look at places that we places that we won on both sides of the river here, in Groton and New London, we had to work especially hard in an election that didn't have a Senate candidate, didn't have people spending tens of millions of dollars to drive people to the polls. We did it ourselves. You did it. You accomplished it. This is your victory. And Nancy and I so desperately wanted to come down to Muddy Waters to do it again, to say thank you to all of you. Now, a little thing about Muddy Waters. I did come to town one day during the campaign, and they took me to 3 different coffee shops. I don't know whether you saw that. And I knew on that day that I may have lost a little support in Muddy Waters because I went to a couple of others. And so I had to figure out a way to make it up and announce that you still have the best crumb cake available. We're all just finished celebrating Thanksgiving, and I can tell you around the Malloy dining room table, we did, what are we thankful for? And a lot of things had to do with you all. We're thankful for the great friendships we have. We're thankful for the state that I was born in and my wife agreed to move to, and for our children. And we're thankful for the opportunity to continue to make this a stronger and better state that Nancy just alluded to. As we continue to do the work that you asked us to do 4 years ago, and we've all agreed collectively we'll do for another 4 years. So thank you, and God bless you all. It's great to see you. Great to be back at Muddy Waters. Great to be in New London. Great to be with all of the communities that are represented here. You all did it. We didn't win every community that's represented here, but we got our percentage, and in most cases in this room, got a higher percentage of the votes than we did 4 years ago. Thank you, and God bless you all.